So, hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the 2025 rental dual trial competition, whatever. So, you're only allowed to pick loaners, and last time, I gotta say, the worst available deck to play for this specific event was the Vanquish Soul list. So, I honestly haven't been keeping up with the WCSs for Master Duel. I just haven't really been interested in them, honestly. But let's take a look, see what we have. Oh, now we have deck 1 and deck 2. Interesting. If I recall correctly, the first event, I believe, I don't remember if this is 100% accurate, but I only remember seeing 3 lists and not 6. But alright, let's just check real quick. Maxi, Maxi, no Duster, we got Super Volley. We have Ash Blossom called by, right? Ash Blossom called by. I believe this is the same kind of hand trap rule, probably, as uh every single other one. So you're only allowed certain shared cards. So I'm going to assume the shared cards are probably called by the Grave, Ash Blossom, and Maxi. And then they split like cards like one of Drolls. So if 3 Droll are legal, they're all able to play 1 Droll and Lockbird, I guess. That's kind of how they split some of these hand traps. We have Perilli here. No Perilli in this deck, right? Yeah, okay. So, focusing back up. This is just Thrizeal. Anything interesting about this list in particular? I think this one of Lancey is like fine. It's a little bit awkward though. This Nib, this is kind of weird. I'm not 100% sure what this Nib is intended to hit, but with all these draw cards, it makes like some sense. We have 2 Fulos here. That means likely someone else has a Fulos, which makes this like weird, right? Let's just take a quick look. Wait, what? Berulia? No, wait. That's 3 Fulos. I'm blind. 2 Berulia, so Luca over here has Berulia. This is one of, and then we have like Heavy Storm and a Duster, and you also have Lightning Storm technically if you really want it. So, oh, Luca's lists here are actually a little bit risky. There are some pretty bad matchups that you can be put into because you have actually no backer removal. Technically, a card like Skill Drain should be absolutely legal. And the only way to out Skill Drain is probably going to be the access code talker. I don't think you can easily access MTP07 under Skill Drain, so I think realistically it's just access code talker. Wait, why do we have a detonator here? The extra? I don't really see anything here in particular. I don't really get the deck building philosophy behind all of these lists necessarily. So we have some Bestials, we have Magnuma, Swarm, and in terms of hand traps, this doesn't have that many hand traps, does it? Oh wait, Metaltronus, that's why. It makes sense now. So this is to deal with Detonator, I guess, but let's see. Target one face-up non-token monster your opponent controls, special summon a monster from your hand, deck, or extra deck that has 2 or more of the same type, attribute, and or attack, but negate its effects. If you do, negate that target monster's effects. Also, after that, if these monsters have the same name, you can bash both face down. Your opponent cannot activate the targeted monster's effects in response to this card's activation, but we can activate plasma hole on detonator and then bring it back with plug-in, I guess, right? If we really want to preserve the detonator, we have that option. If it's a hybrid build, specifically Fiendsmith Ryzeal, this just doesn't work at all, right? That's a little bit risky, actually. And then if you're against a matchup that is specifically not Ryzeal, then this is kind of weird, right? Because you don't have backer removal. So I'm going to assume no one's really playing heavy back row decks. Like the majority probably would not be. That's just my guess, right? And either way, I think that this is probably dead against most decks. I suppose this would be like alright against specifically maybe Malice and Ryzeal. Is that the intent behind this deck? I think it's built to actually counter somewhat both Ryzeal and Malice. Except if you're going second into something that plays well under Duel, and all of these hand traps, honestly, it's very possible to play under. So the going second ability, I think, is pretty dicey for this deck in particular. Okay. And then this deck is just all engine as well, so this has a very terrible going second ability, right? So in terms of hand traps, you have Ash Blossom, Maxi, and then you have Gamma Seal for going second. But realistically, if we actually break this down, if you're not actually afraid of Maxi here, the only hand trap or interaction you can draw here is going to be Ash Blossom Drift Swing. This is a little bit harder in the sense that you don't have this information. This is kind of hidden information, but this is part of what makes like Maxi kind of terrible. Like, uh, ideally, I guess, Maxi, you would be resolving it, I suppose, like going second, and then you would be drawing into a hand trap. But right now, there's only one interaction you can possibly really draw into, right? Except, I guess there's like one more combo that exists somewhere. I think there might be a quick effect discard somewhere, potentially, but we'll check real fast. I don't think there was, actually, was there? Quick effect, you and bash this card from your graveyard. No. Wait, there isn't, right? Yeah, I don't think there's a way to discard to play turn 0 with this deck. Unless I'm like just blatantly missing it. Alright. So I guess it's fine because it'd be hidden information. But if you do have the information, it becomes pretty bad, right? Well, let's see. During the actual, I guess, like tournament, you probably wouldn't be able to figure out this stuff, but if I were playing Gimmick Puppet, for example, I can just fairly consistently play around one Ash, right? And also, there's no back row removal in this deck once again. So there's some like pretty bad matchups for both lists here, which I just don't like personally. I mean, I guess it worked out. Well, that's just what I'm assuming. And then this list here, I think, is a little bit interesting. So the thing about evenly matched is right now I'm thinking who is banishing? I guess it doesn't matter. Neither player can banish. It does mention a player as well. So evenly matched gets countered by Lancia, which is just awkward when Malice is around and people are just like playing ass tons of, I guess, Lancia in general. This isn't necessarily relevant for the tournament here, I guess. And I think this is weird in particular because of the fact that, you know, on ladder, you could randomly get sacked and not be able to activate evenly against some random deck, like let's say, but we'll go with Vanquish Soul. Although like Lancia kind of sucks in Vanquish Soul, they could still play it, you know, for Malice, I suppose. And then here we have a lot of drawing kind of hand traps, and you can kind of see that like just in most of these lists, right? Where we have priority on Max C here, then we have Ash Blossom called by, and then whatever random hand traps we have kind of like available, I guess. We have like bells in this. Bestials are gone now, so yeah, that doesn't really do anything here. Then we have Meowls. This card is completely useless against Ryzeal, so I don't know exactly what these two decks are for. I'm assuming you're allowed to pick between one of the two decks you've got built, right? That's what I vaguely remember. And you can bring them to whichever match. So this list is pretty awkward, I guess. Just well, these two. So you have back row removal, I guess. You have Book of Eclipse, which is honestly pretty solid, but not so much against Malice. The bad thing that's really terrible against playing against Malice with Memento in particular is that it has non-targeting removal, which allows you to essentially outplay Goblin Biker Grand Breakout, Memento Lin Fusion, and we have 3 Thrust, which is actually really interesting, which gives you very easy access to Heavy Storm. So yeah, that looks like a decent going second matchup against Ryzeal in particular. Against Malice, I don't think this, well, just Memento in general, would do that well. You have the idea of going into evenly matched or talents, but if I'm thinking about specifically the Malice board, where you end on, well, what's his face? Um, the terahertz, right? Then we could easily negate evenly matched or triple tactics talents, and I don't think you're that likely to have both cards. So matchup could be good for that deck into certain things here. And then this deck actually has a much better matchup against specifically Malice. So is this the philosophy that we're playing around, or that these decks are built around? Like one deck that's going to have a good matchup against Malice, and then one that's good against Ryzeal. I feel like that might be what's going on here. So we have Meowls, which would be good against Malice. And then we have Lancia, which is going to also be good against Malice. And then we have Chaos Hunter, which is going to like also be good against Malice. And then we have Ghostspell and Haunted Mansion, which is also good against Malice. So this deck, I would expect to be able to somewhat vary, I guess. Huh. Wait, that's kind of a cook. Chaos Hunter, discarding Diabellstar. Star can then send a different card from your hand and then set a card for next turn. Oh, that's kind of cooking. What was this list exactly? It's just Fiends of Myth Snake Eye, right? Okay. There's no Azumino stuff here. Alright, I guess. Just does the stuff, right? Yeah. And then going back to this. So I was wondering to an extent why this list didn't have thrust, and I see all the thrusts went to Nesh, so yeah, that makes sense, I guess. And wait, 2 Lancia, 1 Lancia, yeah, okay. Then you have the triple tactics talents as well here. Okay. I mean, if it works, it works. Then with this list, it's just ritual based, right? I wonder when you choose your deck. Like, do you choose before deciding who goes first and who goes second? Or do you decide after? Or is there some way to decide after? Any opportunity to decide to go second with certain lists here? Hmm. Could someone have brought Senpai, for example? Would that have been fine? Yeah, that's kind of interesting, I think. Hmm. Anything interesting here? Seems like pretty standard, I guess. There's a Protoss here. There's Colossus. Yeah, this is just Ritual Beast, essentially. But in terms of, like, hand traps, we only have Ash Blossom, Dominus Purge, right? A lot of the time, even though we have draw cards like Maxi, Rulia, not in all of the lists, but you don't really get punished too hard for committing. So a good amount of these lists are kind of playing into like some mind games right here with the deck building, right? So if I were to activate Maxi, we're going to assume Maxi resolves, right? So you might be thinking, oh, well, if Maxi resolves, my opponent might be drawing into hand traps, and then I won't be able to like end on anything. It won't be able to resolve anyway, so I'm better off passing, yada yada, right? That's one of the kind of like mind games or things you could be thinking about. But like the hand traps could be completely useless against your deck, actually. Well, it depends on exactly what you're playing and which list you're playing against, right? Like for example, this list actually, like there's a single Ash Blossom. This list, there's also just a single Ash Blossom. There's Super Poly, which a little bit threatening, I guess. Aside from that, it's just one interaction. This is essentially just going to be a late Ash Blossom to a Spring. That's all this Maxi converts to, right? And that doesn't apply to all of the decks, but that'd be like an insane hard read that you could do, I suppose. This list, actually, yeah, it's just one Ash Blossom as well. Which, I mean, on ladder, it doesn't make sense to do this, but like in this format, it probably makes more sense. I mean, I guess it works. So, alright, let's pick a deck here. In terms of just like being consistent, anything here that I would particularly like to play? Well, this list I honestly just don't very much like. Mouse I don't like at all. So in terms of like my personal preference and like just for fun kind of decks I would want to play, I think the closest one is going to be Memento, but I just don't like this build that much. Now, if we start thinking about like the deck matchups against like just the decks here, I don't like it that much. For this, against like Link decks, for example, you know, it's not very good, the Book of Eclipse here. And if you think about it, Miles and Isil are somewhat an issue, and you should be able to play against them, but I don't know if it's worth like super hard countering them this hard. So the thing is, right, Miles and Ryzeal are technically only going to be 2 out of the 6 decks here. But I guess that would be 2 out of 3 players that would probably bring Malice or Ryzeal. But there are risks, right? Like if you were to get forced to go first and then you get Tenpied, for example, that would suck, right? Alright, I guess I'll just hope I don't get match made into Memento and there's not much else I can do. This is probably the deck I know how to play the best out of these. Yeah, I don't really play Ritual Beast, don't really play Vermeil. Then we have Malice and Ryzeal, which I mean know their combo lines, but I don't really want to play them in particular either. Alright. If I win coin flip, I'll always choose going first. And because we have the information, if we get hit by certain hand traps, we'll know what list they're on, just straight up. Maxi. Yeah, we can just ash this. And that's fine. No responses, okay. What are we making here, actually? Rotate, Okay, got it. We don't play Sprite Elf in this list, right? Instead we play SP, and that is fine. Why'd they scoop after normal summon Dark Blade? You do know that was combo? Like when I special summoned the horse, right? And I did that sequence because I didn't think my opponent had anything. Just straight up. Because sequence better to play around Ash if I cared, though. I didn't really care after a certain point. I don't think. I think I actually lose to an Ash Blossom Joy Spring still. Hmm. It would be particularly... Yeah, there's always one Ash choke point, so I guess it didn't really matter. I was just expediting things right there. This hand's like, alright. What do I set if I am going first? There's no imperm in this list. So if I'm going for Swift Vest, it's kind of doomed. So is this intended to just be purely a going second deck against Ryzeal? I guess. We're getting Jolt here. Joel's actually like fine. Mexi. Mexi's like alright. What the hell am I supposed to set here? I have nothing good to set here. Well, it's fine. Uh-huh. Okay. Send 1, 2, 3. I still have to commit a little bit further. Yeah. I'll end on nothing if I don't. I should at least grab Fusion. And then Resolve Fusion, I think. Yeah. But I can't end on, like, anything here. So if someone brought a going second deck, I think it could be really dangerous there. Alright. We have, like, no hand traps, though. Worth mentioning, I guess. I think I prefer the Raging King, actually, here. I think we have to shuffle back Mace. We have nothing to set off of the Thrust. That sucks so hard. We can get Ash now. No Ash. Okay. Send this. We can send this to our next turn. I guess we'll send these. That's fine, I think. We can do one more summon, actually, and that's fine. Yes. This is a list with very few hand traps. Okay, we're fine. Maybe. We'll see. We don't have enough names, actually, for this. Okay. Let's see what this can grab. Might as well jag rat. Goblin Biker Grand Entrance. Add a goblin. Oh, there was a deep area in the list. Okay. That's fine then. With this as well. Okay. I'll just pass now. Set the fusion. Yep. And I know that my opponent has no answer for Max E, but I can only draw into like an Ash Blossom, I'm pretty sure. Now we just have to figure out what they're on. Wait, did they just top deck Ash Blossom just now? Wow, that's crazy. Alright, that's fine. We have a play for next turn still, so we're just absolutely chilling. I think it's a mirror. It's probably the mirror. Oh man, that sucks. Oh wait, evenly's fine actually. Wait, what? Okay, that's fine. Declare fusion. Alright, that's fine. Yeah. We banish this, and then do I want to retain fusion? Or the field spell? I'll keep the field spell, it's fine. It shouldn't really matter too much. Okay. The random Ash Blossom top deck, really? I'm pretty sure we confirmed that they didn't have Ash, right? Well, they don't have combo, so that's something. And we have Heavy Storm. Yeah. Heavy's decent. Depends on exactly what they have in hand, though. What can we do with this extra? Exactly. There's not much in the way of spell trap removal, right? I don't think there's much you can do here. They trolled. I don't think this is correct. Uh-huh. I don't think the sequence makes sense at all. What are we doing here? What's the plan? Memento Mictlan. You don't have a target for Memento Mictlan. Bone Party. There isn't really a good target for this. The only reason I kept this specifically is because this is a one-of, and I wouldn't be able to recover it after evenly. I can recover this, so that's why I let this get banished. And after you search for Momentum Micklin, it doesn't really matter. That effect's literally useless. Momentum Micklin is only able to set on your turn, and I don't have a target anyways, right? So the problem right now, I think, is that Darkblade has no good targets. What are we special summoning, eh? You can bring back a guy, I guess, with Momentum Micklin, but that won't do anything. Okay. Big Kabunga's useless. This doesn't actually trigger, ever. Right? Hook Charger. Yeah, I don't think that does anything. Right? Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Right? This isn't even an interaction. SB. There's nothing worth banishing with SB, I'll be real. The most annoying thing you could banish is Akiran. Otherwise fine, right? Here's one memento name in hand that I know of. That's about it, right? Except for that, there's nothing like super interesting. Terrible banish. Okay. There's legitimately no threat with this card, honestly. Oh, he's summoning it. That's fine. Our top deck should not really matter here, right? Oh wow, that's actually terrible. Okay. Oh my god. Apollosa pass, bro. I don't know what cards he has, though. That's the one thing. When party... Oh, we won, I think, right? Yeah. No responsors. None of the cards you said do anything. In which... We have targets in the graveyard for Angwitch as well, right? Yeah, that's fine. We don't need the graveyard effect, actually. You shouldn't negate this. This is actually just genuinely bait. Come on. Yeah, if you're using your brain here, right? Yeah. This isn't actually something you would want to negate. But yeah, that does trigger Akiran, actually. That also allows me to do this, though. Oh. Uh-oh. no interruption, no follow-up. Uh-oh. If we destroy this, it allows us to add a banish memento card, right? Let's send to the graveyard a couple of cards here. We have Gaddock. And then we can send Fusion. Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O. The card I want here will probably be this one. And it's over. Right. Good Fusion. And now we can go ahead and Fusion. When we'll shuffle back these two, we can get them back into the graveyard later anyways, so it's like fine. Actually, I think I should have shuffled back the sheep. Yeah, it's fine. Adding cards. At this. This. Effect. This we don't actually need for anything, right? Yeah. We have a Fusion in the graveyard, right? Yeah, that's fine. Okay. And just get some names in there. And that's actually follow-up for next turn, right? Yeah. We can just pass on this and it's actually fine, right? Yeah, legitimately fine. Anything else to do here? We can make SV if we wanted, but it's like, it's not relevant. Well, what's the wording on this? Target 3? Destroy them. Okay. Chain on. My chain on didn't work last time. This is a little bit unlucky here. Yeah, okay, Book of Eclipse. What about it? Goblin. Gaddock is in the graveyard, right? This does genuinely nothing. Fusion Pop Goblin also does nothing. Except you can go Fusion, add Fusion. That's it, right? What can we make from here? Uh-huh. You have no normal summon, right? Well, that's like moderately a little bit unlucky, but we should still be fine, right? Grecian King. This gets nowhere, right? This can't multi-attack. It's genuinely fine, right? I was supposed to set, like, Fun Party, though. I forgot about that. I was running a little bit low on time. But it shouldn't have really mattered, right? Yeah, okay. It doesn't matter because they have Book of Eclipse here, I guess, so that's fine. Add the field spell back. That doesn't do anything, actually, right? Do they have a way to trigger Akiran? How many names, actually? Not enough names. Yeah, that's fine then. We can send any card we want. Here. That there actually is a card I want to send. Just, yeah, the deck, I guess, that's fine. I doubt we get thrusted here. There's just no lethal. Our Bone Party can do piercing. Okay. Even if you have thrust, I don't think there's anything you can actually add, right? Balance? That's annoying. Right. But still not lethal. What can you draw here? Nothing. You already activated fusion. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I already know the deck list, right? This can't even attack into anything here, and I just draw 2 as well, so it's like fine. This doesn't actually make anything. They didn't properly cycle the names. Yup. Alright. Last duel. Well, could they really have cycled anything? Not really. Could they have? If they made the other fusion, it would have been like a maybe. This is only when you special summon from hand, right? Yeah, that doesn't matter at all. There's only one list that plays for Leah, though. Okay. You can get rid of the sword. I actually don't even want to resolve that effect. I don't think we need to normal summon, so it's fine. Darkblade. We're taking a different line than usual now, because I don't want to summon from hand. Okay. We know they have no interruptions. We're adding a card here. So here we have to add Sleepy, I think. I think it has to be either Sleepy or the Goblin. I think we can probably do Goblin, though. So I want to do Goblin. Yeah. Go. Back to Sir. Yeah. And from deck to your hand. This can add a monster as well. Go on to use Sleepy. I think Sleepy is fine, right? It might just genuinely be better to do something else, though. can just get accurate and done. That's fine. No time to calc the line out fully. So now outside the Twin Dragon, or Creation King, I want to probably Twin Dragon. Using these two. Twin Dragon ops the Goblin. Adds cards. A card from deck to your hand. We can go add Tatsu for follow-up, or we could add just Mace for next turn. Mace for next turn is pretty good, actually. Banish. So next thing we do is we banish this, pop that, and then that will bring back Goblin. Goblin can bring some other stuff back. Yeah. I was still cooking though, bro. I don't know what bro wanted there. I already have 3 Terror Top. Okay. I mean, like, yeah. I think the absolute bait decks that I would never pick are probably just Ryziel and Malice. Because you're taking like a 50-50 where there's going to be a deck that hard counters you. So picking either Ryziel or Malice is just trolling, I think. And then like the Memento list, like you just don't know how to play the list if you're picking it probably. Like this guy, I think he was a little bit off there. And then, Malice just kind of trolling because, yeah, just bad matchups all around. Because of how, like, all of the decks are kind of composed. Like, the Ryziel list is made with the idea of countering Malice, and then the Malice list, I think, right? Is that just a regular Malice deck? I don't think it is it? This is built somewhat to counter Ryziel, right? Is it? You have Dominus Impulse, Infinite Impermanence, Triple Tactics Talents. This has a pretty decent matchup against Ryziel, right? Because we have 1-2 Droll, 3 Talent, and then we have the Infinite Impermanences for the Detonator. And then we have Druid Worm and Magnemite also to kind of somewhat deal with the Detonator, right? Because Druid Worm outs Detonator, and then Magnemite searches Druid Worm, which outs the Detonator. And then you have Nibiru, potentially. The Nibiru, I think, is more so for the Max C. And then we have Dominus Impulse, which I don't think does anything particularly into that matchup. But it's just a solid card overall, right? No, wait. This is for Ice, technically, right? Yeah, you can Impulse Ice. I think that's the only card you can Impulse. And there's no Terahertz in this list, right? Yeah. Okay. So I think the only, like, somewhat even matchup here is probably going to just be Ryziel versus Malice. But I mean, yeah, I don't think I should have won that second game, mostly. The third game and first game, I think it would have been pretty free. So, yeah, I mean, there are, like, some pretty bad weaknesses in all of these lists, just in general, though. But exploiting all of them is going to require you to essentially know beforehand exactly what your opponent's on, which is what we call in the business cheating. But if you did get the hard read, it would have been kind of a bit dangerous to an extent. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.